My grandson put me in a nursing home so he could live in my house. I never thought I'd see the day when my own grandson would look me in the eye and say, "Grandma, you can't stay here anymore." But that day came. And it broke me in a way I didn't know was possible. Before I tell you what happened, let me ask, where are you listening from? A small town, a big city, maybe somewhere far away? Drop a comment and let me know. And if stories like this touch your heart, please subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. After my husband, Robert, passed, the house we built together felt too large, too empty. The days were long, the nights even longer. My daughter lived 2 states away, busy with her own children. My only son had died years ago in a car accident. That left me with Ethan, my grandson. He was all I had left. So when he offered to move in and help me out, my heart filled with relief. At 68, my joints ached, and simple chores like mowing the lawn or carrying groceries felt heavier than they used to. Having Ethan around seemed like a blessing. The first weeks were wonderful. Ethan laughed like he used to when he was little. He fixed the broken railing on the porch, helped me in the garden, even drove me to Sunday service at church. Neighbors stopped me just to say how lucky I was. Such a fine young man, Mrs. Jenkins told me. Taking care of his grandma. Not many do that these days. And I believed her. I wanted to believe. But soon things began to change. One evening over dinner, Ethan asked, "Grandma, don't you ever get lonely here? This house is too much for you. Wouldn't it be easier if you lived somewhere smaller? Safer?" I frowned, setting down my fork. "This is my home, Ethan. Your grandfather built this with his own hands. Every wall holds a memory." He nodded quickly. "Of course I get it. I'm just worried about you. Places like Silver Pines, nice nursing homes, they give you company, meals, nurses around the clock. You wouldn't have to worry anymore." His words stung. A nursing home. I wasn't helpless. I could still cook, still garden, still live. "I'm fine here," I said firmly. But he didn't stop. A few days later, I caught him on the phone in the kitchen. His voice was low, almost urgent. "Yes," he said. "She's still in the house. I'll convince her. Once she's out, we can move forward." When he saw me, he hung up quickly, flashing a smile. "Just a friend, Grandma. Nothing important." But my stomach twisted. Something wasn't right. That night, lying in bed, I clutched Robert's photo to my chest. "Robert," I whispered into the dark, "what's happening to our grandson? Why does it feel like he's planning something against me?" The silence answered back, heavy and cold. And though I tried to close my eyes, sleep never came. Because for the first time I realized Ethan might not have moved in to help me. He might have moved in to replace me. The morning after I heard Ethan on the phone, I tried to push away my unease. Maybe I'd misheard. Maybe he really was just talking to a friend. But then he brought it up again. "Grandma," he said as he poured my tea, "I drove past Silver Pines yesterday. It's beautiful. Gardens, a library, even game nights. You'd have company all the time." I forced a smile. "Ethan, I told you. I'm fine here." He leaned on the counter, tilting his head. "I know, but you'd be safer there. What if you fell and no one was around? What if something happened at night? I worry about you, Grandma." His tone was sweet, but his eyes, sharp, calculating, didn't match. Over the next week, the hints became harder to ignore. I found pamphlets for nursing homes slipped between the mail. Brochures sat on the coffee table. One even had my name written on it in Ethan's handwriting. "Ethan," I said one evening, holding up the papers, "why are you doing this?" He looked at me with that boyish grin that used to melt my heart. "Because I love you. I just want what's best. Silver Pines would give you everything you need." I set the papers down firmly. "What I need is my home. The one your grandfather built for us. That's what's best." His smile faded just slightly. "You're being stubborn, Grandma. I don't want you to regret it later." One afternoon, while Ethan was out, I walked into the study to dust Robert's desk. That's when I noticed an open envelope on the corner. Inside were forms, applications for Silver Pines. My information was already filled in. I sank into the chair, my hands shaking. He wasn't just suggesting anymore. He was planning. That night I confronted him. Ethan, why do you have these forms with my name on them? For a split second, panic flashed across his face. Then he shrugged. I was just getting things ready. In case you changed your mind. In case. I repeated, my voice trembling. Or because you've already decided for me? He sighed, setting his fork down. Grandma, this house, it's too much. You don't need it. I could take care of it. Keep it alive for the family. Isn't that what you'd want? My chest tightened. This isn't about the house, is it? This is about you wanting it. His eyes hardened. And what if it is? You can't live forever, Grandma. Why not let me handle things now while you still can? The silence that followed cut deeper than any knife. This was my grandson. The boy who once sat on my lap while Robert read bedtime stories, who cried when he scraped his knee in the garden. And now he was talking about me like I was already gone. That night I couldn't sleep. I wandered the halls, running my fingers along the wallpaper Robert had chosen, the shelves he'd built with his own hands. This house wasn't just wood and stone. It was my life. My memories. My last piece of him. And Ethan wanted to take it away. I stood before Robert's photo on the mantel, whispering through tears, "What happened to our grandson? Where did the love go?" The photo, silent as always, offered no answer. Only the steady reminder that I would have to fight this battle alone. But deep inside I felt something stir. A spark of resistance. Ethan thought I was weak, easy to push aside. He was wrong. Because I wasn't ready to be erased. Not yet. A few days later, I was in the garden trimming roses when I heard unfamiliar voices on the porch. My hands froze on the shears. Through the window I saw Ethan standing with two strangers. A man and a woman, both holding clipboards. They smiled politely, peering around as if they already owned the place. "Beautiful house," the man said. "Solid foundation, big lot. A property like this won't stay on the market long." Market? My knees nearly buckled. I stepped inside quickly. "Ethan, what is this?" He turned, flashing that too bright smile. "Grandma, these are just friends of mine. They wanted to see the place." The woman extended her hand. "Lovely home, Mrs. Hayes. We've been looking for something just like it." My stomach dropped. Looking to buy. When they finally left, I shut the door and faced Ethan, my heart pounding. "You brought strangers here. Into my home. Why?" He dropped the smile, his voice low. "Because it's time, Grandma. You can't live here forever. I'm just preparing for the future." Tears stung my eyes. "Preparing for whose future, Ethan?" "Not mine. Yours." His jaw tightened. "You'll be happier in Silver Pines. I'll make sure of it." I shook my head, my voice breaking. "You're not sending me anywhere." For a moment, anger flashed across his face, so raw it made me step back. Then he muttered, "We'll see," and walked away. That night the house felt haunted. Not by Robert's memory, but by the thought of strangers walking through these rooms, pointing at my life like it was theirs for the taking. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the papers Ethan had left out. Pamphlets, appraisals, lists. My name was written in the margins, circled in red ink. It was as if I was already gone. The next morning Mrs. Carter, my neighbor, stopped by with muffins. She noticed the worry lines etched deep in my face. "Margaret, what's wrong?" she asked gently. I hesitated, but then the words spilled out. About the strangers, the nursing home forms, Ethan's pressure. Her eyes widened in shock. "Your own grandson? Margaret, that's elder abuse. You can't go through this alone." I shook my head, tears brimming. "But he's all I have left, Carter. If I fight him, I'll lose him forever." She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "If you don't fight him, you'll lose everything, your home, your dignity, your peace. You need help. I know someone you can call." That evening, when Ethan returned, he was all charm again, carrying takeout and humming like nothing had happened. "Grandma," he said cheerfully. Let's not argue anymore. Just eat, okay? I'll take care of everything. I forced a smile, nodding, but inside I trembled. Because I knew now he wasn't going to stop. And if I wanted to survive this, I'd have to find the strength to stop him first. That night before bed, I stood by Robert's photo on the mantel. Robert, I whispered, our grandson is trying to take everything from me. From us. I can't fight him alone. But maybe, just maybe, I don't have to. I slipped Mrs. Carter's note into my pocket. A phone number scribbled in blue ink. For the first time in weeks, I felt something stir inside me. Not fear. Resolve. The slip of paper Mrs. Carter gave me burned in my pocket for 2 days before I found the courage to use it. Each time Ethan left the house, I stared at the phone, my hand hovering over the numbers. Finally, one morning when he drove off to meet with friends, I dialed. A low, steady voice answered. This is Laura Briggs. My throat tightened. Miss Briggs, my name is Margaret Hayes. Mrs. Carter gave me your number. I don't know what to do anymore. Slow down, she said calmly. What's happening? And so I told her. About Robert's death. About Ethan moving in. About the brochures, the appraisers, the filled-out forms with my name already printed. Silence stretched on the other end. Then her voice hardened. Mrs. Hayes, what you're describing is coercion. Elder abuse. You are in danger of losing everything if you don't act. Tears welled in my eyes. But he's my grandson. Doesn't matter, she said firmly. Blood doesn't excuse betrayal. Do you still have the documents? Yes. In a drawer. Good. Keep them. Don't sign anything. And start writing everything down. Every threat, every conversation. If you can record him. We'll need proof. That night when Ethan came home, I studied him differently. The charming smile, the polite questions, it was all a mask. Grandma, he said, sliding into the chair across from me, Silver Pines has a waiting list. I can get you in now, but we have to act fast. It's the perfect place for you. I forced my voice to stay steady. I'll think about it. His smile faltered. What's there to think about? This is what's best. Inside my heart hammered. But Laura's words echoed. Record him. Gather proof. So I clicked on the small recorder hidden in my pocket. The days that followed were a blur of tension. Ethan grew more impatient, pacing the halls, taking more phone calls outside. One evening, I caught him at the kitchen table, flipping through real estate listings. My house, was written at the top of his notes with numbers scrawled beneath it. Ethan, I whispered, voice trembling, what are you doing? He looked up, eyes sharp. Planning. You'll be happier in Silver Pines. And I'll keep the house in the family. That's how it should be. I gripped the back of the chair to steady myself. You're not keeping it in the family. You're taking it from me. For a moment, the mask slipped completely. His voice dropped to a hiss. You'll sign, Grandma. Sooner or later. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. The recorder caught every word. Later that night, I sat by Robert's photo, my hands shaking as I replayed Ethan's threat. Laura was right, I whispered. This isn't just persuasion. It's a plan. I blew out the candle on the mantel, darkness swallowing the room. And in that silence I made a vow. If Ethan thought I was weak, if he thought he could erase me from the life I built, he was wrong. Because I wasn't going down without a fight. 2 mornings after I captured Ethan's threat on tape, I walked to Laura Briggs's small ranch house on the edge of town. My knees ached, but determination carried me forward. Laura opened the door before I even knocked. Margaret, she said, her voice steady. Come in. I sat at her kitchen table, sliding the small recorder across the surface. She pressed play, listening as Ethan's voice hissed through the static. You'll sign, Grandma. Sooner or later. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. When it ended, Laura leaned back, her eyes sharp. That's enough to prove coercion. Combine it with the pre-filled nursing home forms and the appraiser visits. This paints a clear picture. My hands trembled. What happens now? Laura opened her notebook. We'll keep building. More recordings, any documents you find. If he tries again, let him talk. The more he says, the better. Once we have enough, I'll take it to the state attorney's office. I swallowed hard. And until then? Her gaze softened. Until then, you stay calm. Don't let him know you're on to him. Pretend you're considering Silver Pines if you have to. The last thing we want is for him to panic and push you faster. That evening, when I returned home, Ethan was waiting on the porch. His smile was too wide, his energy restless. "Grandma," he said, "I made us an appointment at Silver Pines. Tomorrow afternoon. Just a tour, nothing official." My stomach dropped, but I forced my lips into a smile. A tour? That could be nice. His eyes lit up. "See? You're finally coming around." Inside, I clenched my fists to keep from shaking. The next day we drove out to Silver Pines. The building loomed large and clean, with bright flowers by the entrance. On the surface it looked welcoming, like a place meant for comfort. But as the director walked us through the spotless halls, pointing out the dining room and activity center, all I could see were locked doors and lonely faces. "This could be your home, Mrs. Hayes," the director said kindly. I glanced at Ethan. His expression was smug, almost triumphant. I forced a shaky smile. "It's very nice." Inside, my heart screamed, "Not yet. Not ever." That evening Ethan pressed harder. "So what did you think, Grandma? Perfect, isn't it? You'll have nurses, meals, friends your age. You won't have to worry about a thing." I set down my fork, meeting his eyes. "It's something to consider." Relief washed over his face too quickly. "Good. Because I've already talked to the admissions office. All they need is your signature." My chest tightened. "Ethan." He cut me off, his voice low. "Don't fight me on this. It's happening." Later that night, I whispered to Robert's photo on the mantel. "He's closing in, Robert. I don't know how much longer I can stall." But then I remembered Laura's words. "Keep gathering. Don't give him reason to rush." So I wiped my tears, squared my shoulders, and made a silent promise. If Ethan thought I was going quietly into that nursing home, he had another thing coming. Because I wasn't just his grandmother anymore. I was his opponent. 3 days after the Silver Pines tour, I awoke to the sound of voices downstairs. My stomach twisted as I hurried into my robe and made my way down the hall. 2 men in suits were standing in the living room, their clipboards open, pointing at the ceiling, the fireplace, the back porch. Ethan was right behind them, grinning like a salesman. "There she is," he said brightly. "Grandma, these gentlemen are just here to take a look at the place." One of the men smiled politely. "Beautiful home, Mrs. Hayes. Well kept. We'll get you a fair price." Price. My knees wobbled. "Ethan," I whispered, "what's going on?" He placed a hand on my shoulder, steering me toward the couch. "Relax, Grandma. They're appraisers. Nothing official yet. Just numbers." But I knew better. This was no longer planning. This was preparing to sell. When the men left, I turned to him, anger and fear mixing in my voice. "You had no right to bring them here." He crossed his arms, his smile fading. "No right. Grandma, I'm doing this for you. You'll be comfortable at Silver Pines, and I'll make sure the house stays in the family." My chest tightened. "You mean stays with you?" His jaw flexed. "It's better this way. You can fight me if you want, but in the end you'll see I'm right." That evening I met Laura again, slipping the small recorder into her hand. "Listen," I said, my voice shaking. She pressed play. Ethan's words filled the room. "You can fight me if you want, but in the end you'll see I'm right." Laura leaned back, her eyes sharp. "Good. More pressure, more threats. He's digging his own grave." Tears brimmed in my eyes. "But he's moving faster. He's not waiting anymore." Laura scribbled in her notebook. "That means we move faster too. Don't sign anything. If he brings papers, stall. Let him get angry. The angrier he gets, the clearer the abuse becomes. I nodded, though fear clawed at my chest. The next morning, Ethan came into the kitchen with a folder tucked under his arm. "Grandma," he said, his tone sweet but his smile cold, "I've simplified everything. Just one signature and you'll never have to worry again." He opened the folder and slid the papers toward me. The bold letters at the top made my blood run cold. Quitclaim deed. My name was already printed, Ethan's name waiting below. "Go ahead," he coaxed. "Sign it, Grandma. It's just a formality." My hands trembled as I picked up the pen. I could feel his eyes burning into me. I set the pen down. "Not today, Ethan. I want to read it over first." His smile vanished. "Read it? What's there to read? It's simple." "Sign it." I shook my head. "Later." For a moment, his face twisted with anger, the mask slipping. He slammed his hand on the table, making me jump. "You're making this harder than it has to be." The recorder in my pocket caught every word. That night, I sat by Robert's photo, whispering into the candlelight. "He's closing in, Robert. But I'm not alone. Laura believes me. The law will believe me too. I just need to hold on a little longer." I blew out the flame, the darkness wrapping around me like a shield. And for the first time, I didn't feel like prey. I felt like I was waiting for the right moment to strike back. The morning came gray and heavy, clouds pressing low against the sky. I was barely finished with my tea when Ethan appeared in the doorway, car keys jingling in his hand. "Get dressed, Grandma," he said casually. "We've got an appointment." I frowned. "Appointment for what?" He flashed that familiar smile, the one that used to seem so warm but now felt like a mask. "Just some paperwork. Nothing you need to worry about." My stomach twisted. Paperwork. I knew exactly what he meant. The drive into town was quiet, but his fingers tapped the steering wheel, restless, impatient. I stared out the window, whispering silent prayers. "Laura, please be ready. Please." When we pulled up, my heart sank. The sign over the door read, "Notary Public Real Estate Services." Ethan opened my door, guiding me inside with a firm grip on my arm. "This won't take long," he said lightly. The notary, a woman in her 50s, smiled politely. "Mrs. Hayes, so good to meet you. Mr. Parker has everything prepared." Everything prepared. My breath caught in my throat. She slid a stack of papers across the desk. At the top, bold black letters read, "Quitclaim deed." My name already filled in. Ethan's written beneath, waiting for my shaky signature. Ethan leaned close, his voice low and sharp. "Go ahead, Grandma. Just sign it. This is the easiest way." My hand trembled as I picked up the pen. The notary looked on, calm, professional, unaware, or maybe unconcerned, about the pressure pressing down on me. I need time to read this," I whispered. Ethan's smile vanished. His jaw clenched, his voice a hiss. "There's nothing to read. Just sign." The recorder hidden in my purse caught every word. I set the pen down. "Not today." He slammed his hand on the desk, startling the notary. "You're being stubborn, Grandma. This is happening with or without you." The room went silent. The notary's smile faltered, unease flickering in her eyes. I sat frozen, heart hammering. But in that silence, something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to give in. Not here. Not today. Back at the house that evening, Ethan stormed through the kitchen, slamming cabinets. "Why do you fight me on everything?" he snapped. "I'm trying to help you. Don't you get it?" I stood in the doorway, clutching the recorder in my pocket. "Help me. By taking my house. By locking me away." His face flushed red, his voice rising. "You don't know what's best for you." "I do." For a moment he looked like a stranger, not my grandson. And for the first time I wasn't just afraid, I was angry. That night I walked to Laura's house, the recorder still warm in my hand. She listened to Ethan's voice fill the room. "This is happening with or without you." Laura nodded slowly. "That's it. That's enough. We're taking this to the state attorney's office tomorrow. Tears welled in my eyes, a mixture of fear and relief. Will it stop him? Her gaze was steady. It will. But you need to be ready, Margaret. Because once we start, there's no going back. Later back home, I stood before Robert's photo. He's going to hate me for this, I whispered. But if I don't fight, I'll lose everything we built. The candlelight flickered against his smiling face. And I knew, tomorrow the real battle would begin. The next morning, the air was heavy with rain. I clutched the recorder in my purse like it was a lifeline as Laura drove us downtown. Neither of us spoke much. The weight of what we were about to do pressed too hard. Inside the state attorney's office, Laura laid the evidence on the table. The pre-filled nursing home forms, the real estate notes, the recordings of Ethan's threats. The assistant attorney, a sharp-eyed woman in a gray suit, listened carefully. When Ethan's voice played from the recorder, "This is happening with or without you," her expression hardened. "This is clear coercion," she said firmly. "We'll open an investigation immediately. Mrs. Hayes, you did the right thing coming here." I swallowed past the lump in my throat. "Will it be enough?" She gave me a small, reassuring nod. "Yes. But it might take time. And he may sense what's happening. Be careful." When I got home that afternoon, Ethan was already waiting on the porch. His smile was gone, replaced by a sharp edge in his eyes. "Where were you?" he asked flatly. I forced a calm tone. "Out with Mrs. Carter." He studied me for a long moment, then smirked. "Funny. You've been sneaking around a lot lately. Almost like you're plotting against me." My stomach knotted. "You're imagining things." But deep down I knew he was starting to suspect. That night he slammed cupboards in the kitchen, muttering under his breath. I caught fragments. "Ungrateful. Doesn't trust me, after all I've done." Later he stood in the doorway of my bedroom, his silhouette dark against the hall light. "You think you can fight me, Grandma?" he whispered. "You can't. I've already put too much into this. You'll see." Then he shut the door, leaving me trembling under the covers. The following day Laura called. "They've opened a file," she said. "Now it's about keeping you safe until action is taken." I told her about Ethan's suspicions, his late-night threats. Her voice dropped. "That makes him dangerous, Margaret. If he lashes out, you need to call me immediately." "But what if he—" My voice broke. "What if he really tries to send me away before they can stop him?" Laura's tone was firm. "Then we'll be ready. He's already made mistakes. One more push and the law will have him." That evening, Ethan came home with bags of takeout and a false cheer plastered across his face. "Grandma," he said, setting the food on the counter, "I've been thinking. Maybe I've been too pushy. I just want what's best for you." He handed me a container, his smile too wide, his eyes too cold. "I'll take care of everything," he added softly. "Don't worry. You won't have to think about a thing anymore." I nodded, my heart pounding. Because in his voice I didn't hear care. I heard finality. That night I sat by Robert's photo, the recorder clutched in my hands. "He knows, Robert," I whispered. "He knows I'm resisting. And I think he's planning something worse." The candle flickered, shadows dancing along the walls. And in the silence I realized something chilling. The fight wasn't just about my house anymore. It was about my survival. It was a Friday morning when Ethan came into the kitchen, dressed sharper than usual. His shirt pressed, his hair slicked back. "Pack a bag, Grandma," he said with forced cheer. "Today's the day. Silver Pines has a room ready for you." My stomach dropped. "Ethan, I told you." He cut me off, his voice hard. "This isn't up for debate. You're going. Now." I gripped the edge of the counter. "You can't make me." He stepped closer, his smile cold. "I can. And I will. The papers are signed. They're expecting you." The car ride was silent. My hands shook in my lap as the miles ticked by. Ethan's jaw was tight, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. At Silver Pines, the director greeted us warmly. "Mrs. Hayes, we're so glad you're here. Your grandson has handled everything." Handled everything. My throat closed. They led me into a small office, papers spread neatly across the desk. My name was printed everywhere, like the decision had already been made. "Just a few signatures, Mrs. Hayes," the director said kindly. Ethan placed a pen in my hand. "Do it, Grandma. Don't drag this out." My hands trembled. I looked at the papers, then at him, and then at the door. Because standing there was Laura. 2 uniformed officers followed her inside. "Stop," Laura said firmly. "Mrs. Hayes isn't signing anything." Ethan's face drained of color. "What is this?" The officer stepped forward. "Ethan Parker, we have evidence of coercion, fraud, and attempted elder abuse. You're under arrest." Ethan's mask shattered. He grabbed my wrist, yanking me close. "You called them, didn't you? After everything I've done for you." Pain shot through my arm. "Ethan, let me go." The officers moved fast, pulling him back, snapping cuffs around his wrists. He struggled, his voice breaking. "You'll regret this, Grandma. You'll regret choosing strangers over your own blood." The room fell silent as they dragged him out, his shouts echoing down the hall. I sank into the chair, shaking, tears spilling down my cheeks. Laura knelt beside me, her voice gentle now. "It's over, Margaret. You're safe." Safe. The word felt heavy, unfamiliar. "I lost him," I whispered. "He was all I had left, and now he's gone." Laura squeezed my hand. "You didn't lose him today. You lost him the moment he chose greed over family. This," she gestured to the papers on the desk, "wasn't love. This was theft. And you stopped it." Back home that evening, the house felt both emptier and freer. No footsteps echoing through the halls, no slamming cupboards, no voices dripping with manipulation. Just silence. I stood before Robert's photo, lighting a candle. "I fought, Robert," I whispered. "I fought for our home, for our life. But I couldn't save him. I couldn't save Ethan." The flame flickered, steady and small as tears blurred my vision. "I don't know how to forgive him. I don't know if I ever will. But I know this, I kept what was ours. I'm still here." The days after Ethan's arrest passed in a blur. The house was quiet, too quiet. No footsteps pacing the halls, no raised voices echoing through the kitchen. Only silence. At first, the silence felt like a blessing. I could breathe again. I could move from room to room without fear of who might be waiting. But as night fell, the silence became unbearable. I would catch myself listening for his door to slam, for his shoes on the porch. And when I remembered he wasn't here, the ache in my chest grew sharp. He was my grandson, my flesh and blood. And even though he had tried to erase me from my own life, some part of me still longed for the boy who once ran barefoot in my garden, chasing fireflies under the summer sky. Neighbors stopped by often. Mrs. Carter brought casseroles, others brought flowers. They all said the same thing: "You were brave, Margaret. You did the right thing." I nodded, smiled, thanked them. But when the door closed, I would lean against it and whisper, "If it was right, why does it hurt so much?" One evening Laura came by. She sat at my kitchen table, her notebook closed for once, her tone softer than I had ever heard. "You know," she said, "you saved more than just your house. You saved yourself. Women who give in to men like Ethan often lose everything. You fought back." Tears stung my eyes. "But I lost him anyway. He's alive, but he's gone to me. How do I live with that?" Laura reached across the table, taking my hand. "By remembering you loved him once. And by knowing that love isn't the same as letting him destroy you." Her words sat heavy in the air, but they planted something small inside me. Not peace. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of it. The next morning, I walked through the garden Robert and I had planted decades ago. The roses were blooming again, bright against the green. I knelt, pressing my hand to the soil. "We kept it, Robert," I whispered. "Our home, our garden. He didn't take it from us. The wind rustled through the leaves, carrying with it the faintest scent of roses. And for the first time in months I felt Robert close. Not gone. Not entirely. That evening I lit a candle by his photo and sat in my favorite chair, the one Ethan once tried to push toward the curb during a cleaning spree. The flame flickered, steady and warm. "I'm still here," I whispered. "I survived. I'll carry the memories even if I have to carry them alone." Tears blurred my vision, but they weren't only tears of sorrow. They were tears of survival, of quiet strength. Because Ethan had tried to take everything. My home, my dignity, my very life. And he had failed. The house was mine again. And though it was emptier than it had ever been, it was also safe. Safe enough for me to sit with my grief, to hold my memories, and to wait for the day when the silence might no longer feel like a punishment but a gift. And until then I would keep the roses blooming. For Robert. For myself. For the life that was still mine to live.